Blessings, everyone, and welcome to The Real, Raw, and Truthful with Tawnya Love. I have taken a little break throughout the holidays. There was a lot of changes that were very much needing to happen, and some transitions that went on that were, as much as I intuitively felt these things might be coming, once they happened, there was a little bit of a time frame where I needed to just be with self, be in stillness, and process everything that had happened and process why it happened. And so I feel ready now to come and be my authentic, vulnerable self in expressing some important wisdom that I've processed for myself, that I've observed in regards to others and their decisions and their choices. And so this podcast, the focus is going to be on basically the importance of self-love, the importance of forgiveness, and the importance in honoring healthy boundaries. And they all really go together, because until we can practice self-love, we will be oblivious to how important it is, and we probably will not have not only not healthy boundaries, but we may not have boundaries at all. And often those same people will really struggle with forgiveness, and they'll just keep recreating toxic cycles for themselves and sometimes for others. For me, I observe the energies around me and observe, what am I understanding and learning that could help these people around me that I care about. But I also observe things that are happening around me, and I use them in a very introspective way. Like, okay, is there anything here that I'm observing that is being triggered in me or is being active in me that I need to be mindful of? And so in order to live in a truly empowered way, we really have to look at life in a very multidimensional way. Instead of standing back and just blaming others and hating others, rejecting others, we need to actually observe, what is it that we're hating? What is it that we're rejecting? What is it that is causing dis-ease within self? And I feel like humans that do not want to do that, what I often refer to as shadow work, they don't want to look in and see that. They will often justify their behaviors. They'll often do unconscious behaviors that are very passive and aggressive, and most of the energy will feel very heavy for themselves, and they'll project that towards others, because eventually when a person has sat with their heaviness for a while and they don't want to sit with it anymore, they don't want to be aware of it, instead of transmuting it, instead of releasing it and recognizing that it's coming up for one reason and one reason alone, and that is to be seen, understood, and then fully released. And when humans don't do the fully releasing part, when they don't really want to see it or they don't really want to understand it, if they skip any of those pieces, then the cycle is activated once again. And so the intelligence of really being so present with every experience in this way is that it really catapults your soul to a higher frequency. It really helps you as a soul to get the information you need and to efficiently use that, transmute the energy, and then ascend from that energy. And therefore you stop the cycle and you enter a new cycle. So in other words, we can say we stop the toxic cycle and we choose to level up to a higher frequency, to a higher life experience. And so what I observed in myself is that there has been a lot of energies that were around me for quite a while that were very heavy and were projecting. And I was very much in a cycle where I was being the loving caregiver, the nurturer, the understanding one. Oh, I'm sorry you're struggling with that. Here, let me help you. Let me guide you. Let me show you love and compassion. However, it got to a point where once I saw that that was my role and I was continuously and consistently showing up with love and unconditional love, I started to recognize that some humans in my world were not showing up with consistent integrity or consistent love and compassion for myself. And I even can understand that at a deep level, because until a person is able to do that for themselves, they're probably going to sabotage doing that for others. So if a human is struggling and loving themselves and really feeling at peace within themselves, they will find every reason and justification in trying to disturb another's peace or to destroy another's happiness, because they don't feel happy. They don't feel peaceful. They don't feel love. And so the unfortunate part of that is that the cycle is very toxic. And a lot of humans, and I see myself as a very empathic human, but a lot of empathic humans have kind of been raised and programmed in the awareness of doing everything for others. And I feel like, we can have all kinds of roles and titles. There could be a mother doing this. There could be a father doing this. There could be a daughter doing this. It doesn't matter the role or the title, but there are times and societal conditionings put on certain energies more so than others. And often that role of just being a people pleaser, a Cinderella, she does all the dishes, all the mopping, all the shopping, all the tasks. She's doing it to get the love. When we're in that place, we suffer. And we really don't feel fulfilled, even though we've been programmed and trained to do all this good for others, to be there unconditionally, to unconditionally love them, support them, no matter what they do, even if they treat us terribly. And so a big part of what I leveled up on in the past few months was I really was recognizing the pattern. I sat with it, like, where is this pattern coming from? I could see where the pattern's coming from, the programming. And I realized I have done so much work and I have done so much transmutation and so much leveling up that I'm so proud of myself on. But at the same time, I could see that, you know what? If we're done with cycles, then we're done with cycles. And I had to cut some people out of my life. I had to release some people that, as it didn't matter how much I was loving them, how much I was showing up for them, how much I was holding space for them, if all they were doing was taking and draining my energy and bringing heaviness. And so it's interesting because I really had the knowing of what the energies felt like. It was very parasitical, very vampirical. And I commanded out loud one night, a little after Christmas, I was like, I am done with these energies. I command any parasitical energies or entities to leave my body, leave my mind, leave my energy field, leave my home, leave my life, because this cycle is done. And before I even had commanded that, I was feeling a guidance of eating very clean and doing detoxing and all of that for the internal body. But then it was time to really pay attention to my energetic body, to my mental body, to the environment, to my home, to pay attention to what energies are really feeling safe and uplifting and loving and supportive for me. Because what's interesting, and I feel like I often have been referred to as the healer of healers, because often as a healer or a light worker, an empath, whatever titles, again, that we have been given, we often are naturally very generous and giving with our heart and our time and our energy and our wisdom, because we really do love people. We really do love the world and love humanity and want the best for humanity. That's why we're here. But at the same time, if we've had any kind of cyclical energetic experiences in our timeline where we were not treated right, where we were put through abuse, where we were not honored or respected, it is going to be so much more likely that that empath is going to struggle, or that healer is going to be overgiving. And the healer doesn't just mean someone that does energy healing like I do, or soul coaching. It could also be a mother who is naturally a nurturer and a healer. It could be that, yoga teacher that just naturally gives loving advice and wisdom and shows compassion to her students. It isn't just about, one occupation. It's that energetic essence of, I am here to be the change. I am here to pour the love into the world and into those around me. And one of the most important things I've learned in my journey is that you must have a strong foundation of self-love to be of use in a healthy and aligned way to others. So if you're pouring into everyone else at the deficit of yourself, at the cost of your well-being, at the cost of your happiness, at the cost of your bank account, if you're doing all of that energetics and others are not at all supporting you, they are not at all appreciative of you, they don't even like you. And we'll get into that. There are people I have seen that they can put on a mask, they can act a certain way, but under the energy, I'm always very keen to energy and I can feel the truth. And sometimes people will show up and they will act a certain way, or they'll be smiling in your face. But energetically, you can feel that they don't like you. You can feel that they are irritated by your light. You can feel that they hate you. You can feel that they are not happy for you. They're not happy for your shine, your happiness, your success. And so whether you are, it doesn't matter where you are in life or what role you're playing, if you can understand the importance of paying attention to that, it will help your life so much. Because when you keep energies close to you that despise you, envy you, are jealous of you, hate you, are competing with you, trying to be you, which is the most insane thing. It's such, and I don't say that in a way to mock or shame people. I'm meaning the insanity of playing a game like that is so destructive to yourself and to the other, because you can never be somebody else. You can never be, nor should you even want to be someone else. What you should want is to be your authentic self. What you could and should focus on is how to be your authentic self. What you could and should do is love others exactly as they are. Love and appreciate them. If you can see someone that shines and you can see someone that's inspiring and well spoken and educated and wise, you could, instead of competing with that person, you could actually be grateful that that kind of a soul is that close to you, and really pay attention to what they're sharing with you, what they're giving and offering to you, and how you can also be in a state of gratitude and reciprocity, how you can actually focus on, how can I give back to the soul who is so generous and giving to me? When the energetics are like that, connected, harmony, bliss, coherence, you can't deny it. But when they're missing, when one soul is the overgiver, overlover, overcheering, cheerleader, the other is the taker, the heavy weight, it is disruptive. It's disharmonious. It doesn't feel good. It feels off. It feels heavy. And so I say this because this has been a huge lesson for me. And I feel like there's got to be so many people in the world that could benefit from this message and benefit from this practice of self-love, understanding what self-love is, understanding the importance of forgiveness, and we're going to get into that next, and understanding the importance of healthy boundaries. Because again, if you're not understanding self-love, everything else is not even going to make sense to you. So for those people listening, if you feel like you need help, you need some support and coaching, reach out to me and we can schedule your session. But you want to learn to master self-love first, to even understand what self-love is. Because until you can, I promise you, if I looked into your life, you are not having great boundaries with people, and you probably have a lot of resentment towards people, and you probably are pretty critical of yourself. And it all just goes together. So the first foundational step is mastering self-love. So once we do that, then we can move to that state of forgiveness. So in my case, in this situation, I was observing these energetics with some people. And then I would say in the last couple years, I have released a lot of core people. I don't have a huge tribe right now. Now I'm open to that changing. But at this moment in time, I have had kind of a smaller circle. And I like that. I like things being small and intimate and connected. At the same time, if you even have a small circle where there are energies that are just draining you and they're heavy and they're toxic, it is not good for you. It's kind of like if we gave it an analogy of, or a metaphor of, like imagine you go to the store and you get a batch of raspberries and you get home and you go to eat them the next day and there's a rotten one in the center and you don't take it out. And then you go the next day and open and now there's like 10 berries that are rotten. It's very quick how it happens very quickly is what I'm trying to say. It happens very quickly when you have a lower frequency energy in a high frequency environment. That lower frequency, it can change, right? That energy could come up and rise. But if they are showing you they do not have a desire to rise with you, they have only a desire to be a rotten berry, you want to get them out of there because they're going to pollute the rest of the fruit. They're going to actually cause there to be more destruction and waste if you're just looking at it from a berry perspective. But if you're looking at it in a life perspective, these are people I've had that lived with me. They brought a heavy energy, an angsty, hateful energy, and they weren't contributing the same. They weren't helping out. They weren't grateful. They didn't show me love. And these are energies I'm not accepting anymore in my movie, in my home, in my world. Now they can live and exist in the world, but they're not energies I will invite and allow to stay closely in my world. And that's, excuse me, I have hiccups. That is self-love. That is important for me to understand. I have to love myself more than needing this person to love me or needing this person to respect me. Because if a person's showing you repeated patterns that they do not love you and they do not respect you, believe them. Believe them. They're really showing you who they are. They're really showing you. And it doesn't mean that's who they are. And I think this is the thing with empaths. We really see the potential of a soul. We see who they can be. But we have to balance that with who they're showing us they are choosing to be. Does that make sense to you guys? So if you see someone repeatedly showing you patterns that are toxic, trust that is what they're choosing to be, even if you can see that they could be so much better. So this is where we want to be very mindful. We're not falling in love with people's potential or falling in love with anybody's potential when it's not showing up. Like when they consistently show us they have no desire to be better. They have no desire to be honoring. They have no desire to be respectful and loving. Believe them and let them go. So that's the first step, is the self-love. So important. And I'm sure that will be being brought up again in these podcast episodes. And I welcome you guys to, if you have any questions when you go onto my YouTube or on Spotify, or if you're on Facebook, Instagram, and you find me, or you want to email me through my website, Mindfulness Mastery 888. If you go on there and you have anything you'd like me to talk about, let me know. Like, I would love to know what content you would like me to discuss, or if there's anything that you have questions on. Please keep the comments positive, though. Otherwise, I'll just delete them. So anyways, back to what we were saying on the foundation is self-love is so foundational and important. The next stage we're going to move into that's super important is understanding that once we see that there is a pattern, that's what I refer to as a toxic pattern, meaning you've had multiple discussions with this person, you've given them multiple chances to change and transform in themselves, to level up and improve their behavior. You've given multiple opportunities for this growth to be shown, and they are consistently sabotaging that. And I will say that a lot of times humans that struggle to love you and respect you and show up for you and cheer for you, it is because they are 100% struggling to show up for themselves, to love themselves, and to cheer for themselves. So someone that's hateful to you, someone that's petty and hateful towards your joy and happiness, is petty and hateful towards themselves. It's happening, I promise you, internally, and that internal is being projected onto you. And it's because they're not comfortable with themselves. So we got to recognize that when another human that we care about, is sabotaging their own joy, that is not our responsibility to carry the weight of that. That is not our responsibility to forever pour into that person or continuously coddle them and like, oh, let me just help you and let me just, keep pouring words and time and energy and resources into your lack of choosing self-love, into your lack of self-mastery and self-discipline, your lack of emotional regulation. So it's so important that we understand that, because the first step, self-love, absolutely pivotal to building the blocks of this. We're going to see it like the blocks of a very healthy fortress. If we're creating a beautiful, thriving castle, we have to have good, solid foundation. Otherwise, it's going to crumble. It's going to have leaks and holes, and we're going to be having thieves come in and take and manipulate and try to destroy our castle. So this is where we'll go to understanding the boundaries and also understanding forgiveness as we are guided to release someone from our life that we truly have loved, and what that looks like to forgive. So I'm going to pause here. This is going to be the first episode of this series on the understanding of self-love, forgiveness, and healthy boundaries. And I will be right back and continue.